Последние месяцы кибератаки буквально захлестнули.
In recent months, cyber attacks have covered almost all the industries of Russian economy, all types of companies. And who is the key entity in the company who makes decisions about how can we build a defense? Naturally speaking, it's a top manager. So what is cybersecurity for top managers in such an important segment as banking industry? We're going to speak about it together with Pavel Klimovich, independent expert. Pavel, hello. Hello. And Roman Chapligin, director of the Direction of Business Consulting from Positive Technologies. Hello, Roman. Hi. Okay, let's see. After February 24, we have changed a lot of things. And in any organization, activities are much wider than exploitation of digital solutions. So let's speak about business operations in recent months. What has changed in the scale of activities of the company? Let's begin with that. Okay, definitely. Changes did happen, and big number of changes happened in production companies. Therefore, violations of supply chains, departure of certain sales markets, questions of replacements. And in the banking sphere, we maybe less likely changes are happening as well. Undoubtedly, less. Because we need a certain period to understand which changes are happening and where is this bottom where these changes are happening, how does it affect banking business process. First of all, changes have tackled communication channels, control over these communication channels, problems related with possible penetration inside of the banking network, and of course the story with pandemics, which has put a lot of employees to remote operations. It was in the focus of attention in order to analyze, and big number of remote workplaces. How does it influence in the conditions of new realities and in the conditions of cyber threats against the bank? Well, you have described the situation pretty well. There were pandemics, attacks, and but something hardcore, something unexpected. Can we speak about that? For example, we had a January and we had February, and then suddenly March came, and what happened after March? April, my God! And right now it's May. So what has changed on the borderlines from the point of view of activities of hacker groups, from the point of view of loading of expert teams inside of companies? Vladimir, I would like to add a little bit, and back to your question, what has changed and about top managers. Well, this is the moment, unique moment, when in the course of many years we've been telling you that top management has to participate in cybersecurity, but top management, they participated, but they did not dive into it. And unfortunately, these February events, they didn't give us any chance of staying outside of it. If previously, during the discussion about cybersecurity in agenda, we've been looking downwards, top managers have been disregarding it, but more or less, things like that happen in financial sectors. All top managers have got together, they've grouped together, and they started understanding what really happened. They create crisis committees. They start understanding what has broke down. For example, cyber attack happening, they have been already informed, and what works, what doesn't work, and the first thing they have to understand. And as I understand, this is the best practice on the side of the business, creating this crisis committee, discovery of key areas of activities which have suffered on the side of the client, on the side of the internal processes, on the side of the partners, and then forming of a proper set of expertise and communications. For example, you're a top manager and you're the captain, and your ship moves towards the iceberg, and you should make a proper decision. You should give commands, and executives should follow the competencies and knowledge to execute these commands in a proper way. So these sets, these groups of reactions, the crisis groups, on one side, they became a solution, but on the other side, they have included all top managers, the first entities, everybody. Yes, Pasha, maybe you're going to tell us who should be the part of it. Well, in the beginning, I would like to tell you, the teams have changed. The anti-crisis management team have changed. Can you list the roles? Yes, all the representatives of information security blogs, definitely we have IT, definitely we have higher top manager who makes strategic, willful decisions. Let's say financial director, CFO, a business director, operational director. Are they part of this? Yeah, operational, financial, and business development director, and CEO as well. Well, the names of positions are different, but these should be representatives of main business sections, main supporting facilities. And what also is very important, what I notice, that right now more technical specialists, not necessarily of very high level of their positions, with very high level of knowledge of competencies, they also get involved in these meetings of operative teams, anti-crisis bodies of authority, because their opinion is very valuable. It's not necessarily a big position, but most importantly, they need competency. And also it is important that this anti-crisis body of management should be flexible in their composition. Prior to pandemics, these were certain people, as a rule, inside of their companies, they've defined in their documents, they have certain fixed list of who's going to be the part of this body. And it was a very standard one. And during pandemics, big number of employees have been involved in these anti-crisis management committees. Undoubtedly, these are managers, people who make decisions from the point of view of personnel, from the point of view of hiring. Right now, situation is changing, and due to changing of the situation, the teams are changing as well. And I told you, big number of IT specialists and cybersecurity specialists, they are playing the main role in this orchestra. May the first, Vladimir Putin have signed a decree which speaks about two simple and understandable things. The first one, that every company should have a deputy of the company which provides management and control over the information security questions. And the second topic is that until 2025, companies have to get rid of cybersecurity decisions software from unfriendly countries. Does it reinforce the work of this team which has appeared after 24th of February? Does it bring this decree some additional factors of stimulus, or this is just a legislative confirmation and officialization of the fact that these management bodies have already been established inside of the company? Well, let me begin with this answer. How did it happen? When a company have faced with mass number of attacks and they started targeted attacks, and we've looked at analytics in positive, 70% of all the attacks are addressed attacks, not just coverage searching for something, but very addressed, specifically against specific company, against specific personal data, confidential information, leakages, and stoppage of the processes. These are three main targets, destructive targets. So they've been addressed and destructive. What else have been added? Public relations, PR, have been added, because we've never seen in the internet, in open resources, so much information about cyber incidents. And these are single of percentages compared to what is happening. Yeah, maximum. So right now we can say tops also have understood that their role, first of all, it's related to top entities, because there were events in mass media, in advanced mass media, where top management of companies was involved in this situation, and they have understood that their role is very important. Then they've seen the following, that decision making about a rejection of the attacks and big corporations, a big bureaucratized company without political authority does not work, and they had to move very fast. They had to close access. They had to block some usual channels of communications which are convenient for use for top management, to prevent the catastrophe. What is needed? We need more authorities on the side of security, where the CEO and top management of the companies came and started doing this. Then companies have increased their level of cyber defense, cyber responsiveness. Well, they breathed out, they defended themselves from DDoS, from web applications, they've defended themselves internally, they've cleaned themselves, and they got used to it. They got used to it. They say, okay, every day we're being attacked. And Here, it is very important not to lose these dynamics, because from one side, what was done by the law that you've been speaking about, because it introduces personnel on the level of top management, personnel which has those authorities which were required during these crisis days, so that it wouldn't be just useful a role for one-time activity doing, but it should be a full-scale leader which has necessary authority and who works and develops cybersecurity, having this knowledge and functions and makes these decisions. And this is beautiful from the point of view of legislation, and from the point of view of realization of defense. It is also very important, irrespectively are they used to it or not, but we need to keep the dynamics, and we should bring this reinforcement of cyber defense to working system of continuous monitoring of what is really happening and how can we defend the company from destruction. So I would like to add to this a little bit in a couple of topics about the informational field. Truthfully, this topic is a very careful topic, and big companies outside, they inform us about something interesting, and they're really, these recommendations are given when the nail is sticking out of your tire and you cannot change anything, and they're trying to say, well, everything's good, but well, it's not that bad. They're saying, yeah, truthfully, yeah, the tire has been flattened, but in all informational channels the information says, okay guys, everybody says totally differently. So the reaction from this side of press services of the company also should be adequate. Yes, we do see positive changes. We do see more and more often adequate reaction to what's happening. And I'm observing right now we have 13 systematically important banks, how these banks work in the external informational field. I see how in Telegram they publish notifications from big banks that yes, we do confirm to the fact that we do have some difficulties. They give real forecasts when they can be removed, and I see a great advantage here, because users, clients, they feel this connection. Everybody understands that this is happening. They understand that this is not something good, but I'm being informed and I have more trust and I have understanding, because, you know, the concern comes when you have no information. So from this point of view, I definitely see this positive dynamics. And from the point of view, Roma, of how do we get used to these attacks? What do I think about that? Compared to sanction-related packages, compared to this influence against our economy, where you can feel the bottom. We are still searching for this bottom, and every time we see something even deeper, cyber threats, you cannot feel them. They're not tangible. We get used to the fact of their availability in this scale, which was not available previously. But we have to understand that we don't have the horizon when this will come to an end. We don't have the horizon. Yes, we can look at some direct economical influences, but when something mass centralized is being prepared, and when all this is going to explode, nobody knows that. And respectively to the fact that there is a certain cost to certain attacks. Of course, the interest is very high in our country. It's very important to understand that we always have to stay ready. We always have to be ready. From one side, you know, things that you do professionally yourself, and from the other side, things that we are showing, the concept of excluding unacceptable, inadmissible. It tells us that, of course, we are tuned for the best, for the development of the economy, of the growth. But at the same time, this development is impossible dynamically if you will have big events, inadmissible events, which will destroy your business, and not just you will have to roll it back, all your efforts, but also they will compress shrink the company. Well, about inadmissible events, I would like to make a remark here. What really happens? We see the reassessment of which events are considered to be inadmissible, and the analysis of influence against the business of the large companies, and they've been conducting it like 2 years ago, where businesses that have been participating in this process on a full scale, and they've been trying to defend themselves from all the sides.
5 моих страхов, да,
Всё
важно,
надо,
не
да.
35 fears that I have to cover. Of course, all of them are critical, and everybody tried to confirm it on the documentary level, and nobody's been scared by the condition. But right now, it's a break point. And I know that in many companies, and we have professional communities, we communicate with them, they've started a new process, operative analysis of influence against the business and reassessment of what is really important right now, right here. Because on this particular important stage, companies will concentrate their defense on this particular stage, and we have to keep it.
целеполагание, когда у тебя
Because this is about target setting when you don't have 200 priorities out of different departments and but all the way. But well, Ivan Vasilievich should not lose this paper because this paper has this special stamp and we are not giving those stamps to anybody. Yeah, classical example is the reporting. Banks, they love reporting. These are requirements of regulators, and these requirements are very important, and everybody is trying to send monthly or quarterly or semi-annual reporting and put it in a corner of this defended space, speaking that, well, they need these papers, otherwise we have regulatory consequences, penalties. And right now, put this on the scale. Your reporting and a real billion of rubles have been stolen. Well, in current conditions,
что были раньше.
they're getting disconnected from previous situations. So regulators look differently, the financial community, and they started thinking about those requirements. Of course, definitely, and we need to have a certain support at certain moments. Speaking about system important banks, this is precisely like that. Because system important banks, 13 of them, they provide 70% of
Активов.
all banking assets activities.
Здесь можно тоже
Definitely, and we can find agreement, and there's a dialogue with regulator, and it's a constant dialogue, and of course prioritization right now comes to a new level. Okay, look, well, speaking about companies, about banks being in particular, how much in this situation that we're speaking about,
изменение цели
how much this target setting changes,
образования вот этих
how much establishment of these new management bodies in the company change internal processes inside of organizations. Because
общения,
these are procedures of communications, defined document flow. This is big systems with thousands of people involved, applications, processes. This is very complicated. And I think changes are happening not on the whole landscape, especially speaking about the financial organizations, remembering that there is a reassessment happening in the course of the analysis of influence against the business, reassessment of what is most critical to us. Naturally speaking, in most critical ones, in most critical areas of activities, especially in new bank, we see maximal bureaucratization if it is aimed on security. In some other areas, auxiliary or maybe in the areas inside of the bank, providing functions, I would say, they do change their approaches, they do change their algorithms, they do change. Well, you're saying that. That's the way I hear you. That generally speaking, they do change processes, but today you are being hacked today, and you shouldn't think about those papers. You should react immediately, or you should be ready for this reaction. So
меняет вообще парадигму.
I think it should change the paradigm of thinking inside of the company and target setting inside of the company, that these shouldn't happen. 1, 2, 3, and everything else is secondary. Let it be.
Сильно меняет отношение.
Well, it changes the perception inside of the organization to those bureaucratic processes which are available. Do you see any changes in this process component with the consideration of prioritization of the cybersecurity topic? Or this is a reactive reaction or a defensive reaction? Well, what do I see? On one side, everybody's looking at
атак, последствий
removal of attacks and consequences and restoration from these attacks. And what I think from the point of view of the industry,
правила, а уж тем более
the rules and documents and procedures, they came not to the second, but to the 10th level of importance. So I think that crisis committees, they also work on certain basic principles, but then execution and restoration is happening level of competencies in specific situations and management of these irrespectively to the rules of the game. And right now I would like to add another topic to this. From the point of view of regulation, what do we see? It's not a secret. Periodically we hear the questions about regulators. Some documents have been outdated, some of them not being published, and we do see dynamics that documents are being published very fast and they define the background, but without going deep into certain complicated variations of execution. They try to find the golden approach, and this is good from two sides. First of all, they on the top level they understand and everybody's moving in the proper direction where they've been sent to, but on the other side their hands are open, untied, and you can do whatever you need to do from this point of view. So in the companies we see similar change of balances. But this legacy, bureaucratic legacy, is still pushing us. Well, of course, bureaucracy is not always bad. Sometimes those mechanisms which were developed in the course of many years, they work effectively. We cannot say that we are in a certain outdated legacy condition. Moreover, financial banking industry is a very serious industry. It's overregulated. So the changes of balances are happening. As for the speed of decision making, yes, the speed has sped up. Decisions are being made not within days. Central bank produces documents very fast with interest rates, and the reaction is very fast, as we can see it right now. But the process inside, when they're being executed, the search of the balance still stays there. And if there's an opportunity of not getting away from non-checked solutions, if this opportunity is available, then of course it's being used. And I have a final question to you, and give me the brief answer with numbers. When we say that before 2025 we should have full replacement of security products inside of critical infrastructure by domestic products or products from friendly countries, including Russia, which according to you percentage of solutions should be replaced? How many should be replaced? If you take 100% of all the security solutions used in the banking sector, this decree tells us how many, in a percentage-wise, should be replaced. How many of them? Well, I will be the first one. Be brief. There is a phrase, sovereignty, and sovereignty, it's a possibility of the company to operate independently from whatever happens, or with minimal dependency from external factors. According to my opinion, as a security guy, I want to replace everything. Objectively, we see some device has been disconnected, foreign device. Well, we have no defense, which means it's not always possible and it's not always economically feasible. So I would like to answer, speaking about critical points or nodules or processes or where the unacceptable events might happen, then 100% replacement, everything else. But how much in percentage in total, how much should be replaced? For example, by 2025 should be 100% replaced. On the turbine, 100%. You did not get my question. Right now, there is a certain percentage of trusted software and some percentage of not trusted. So this percentage of non-trusted should be replaced by 25. So this percentage of non-trusted, how much is it out of total? Is it 5%, 80%? Right now, how much is it? How much should we work? Approximately. Well, my intuitive assessment is on the level of 50%. Okay, I get it. I wouldn't confirm or wouldn't deny it 50%, but big significance will be about the quality, because if we will get some friendly or domestic products and they do comply to the quality criteria, then of course on a step-by-step basis we should replace everything. But if we understand that solutions are still not complete, not mature, and they have to be complete, and this is normal story, especially in such a short period of time, then we have to be very careful. We have to remember about continuous continuity of the business, and we should move forward, analyzing which quality we understand we get. So I think this is an important moment to pay attention not only to numbers, not only to fact, but also to how we are able to do that. Well, speaking about numbers, if we're going to judge external sources of information from Russia, we have seen many foreign vendors in area of IT security have left. Total market size of which was on level of 80 billion rubles. Judging public numbers, total market value of cybersecurity in Russia in 2021 was on level of 150 billion rubles. But almost half of it is a volume of solutions of which we have to replace, and the deadline, well, 2025 is still too far away, but considering the fact that these solutions are not simple installations, are not simple completions and integrations, then I can say the time is very compressed. But Russian cybersecurity industry is stimulated by this, and it has a very good oil and possibility to work. So thank you very much for your answers. It was cybersecurity for top managers.